हे शिव शंभो माया परंपार तुम्हारी हे शिव शंभो माया परंपार तुम्हारी मेरे काम चरणाशि विश्वनाथ काशी अभिवासी सोमनाथ रामेश्वर वासी हे शिव शंभो त्रिपुरारी माया परंपार तुम्हारी ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय जग में पाठक हरि जाता सब अवतार तुम्हारा हर पल करे तुम हर में शिव शंभो त्रिपुरारी माया परंपार तुम्हारी ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय सिद्धि आरती जब हो जाती ज्योति ज्योति में सब मिल जाती सिद्धि आरती जब हो जाती ज्योति ज्योति में सब मिल जाती जय 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 भोले ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय जय 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 भोले हे महादेव शंकर पुजारी हे शिव शंभो त्रिपुरारी माया परंपार तुम्हारी हे शिव शंभो त्रिपुरारी माया परंपार तुम्हारी हे शिव शंभो
शिव शंकर भगवान की जय शरणम प्रभु. We'll join once again to glorify Bhagavan Shiva through the medium of the Panchakshara Stotra mantra. And Amar is already sitting there ready to go. Let's be inspired in this time. Go ahead.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya. Rameshwara Shiva Rameshwara, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya. Rameshwara Shiva Rameshwara, Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya. Gangadhara Shiva Gangadhara, 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 Hare Hare Bole Namah Shivaya.
This time we'll take prasadam from those who are brought. We'll have the kirtan bhajans continue as that happens. And for those who will be performing Shiva Abhishekam, I just want to remind you, of course, to be very careful in the sense that you sanitize your hands after you've used the utensils that other people have touched. Okay, please, let's help each other. Keep your distance as well. We're not out of the woods yet. Now we got Omicron or whatever it's called.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know what's going to come after that, but that's what we got now. And these things are happening mainly because our people will not take the needle. Some people are afraid of needle, I know. But what is there to be afraid of? If a bee stung you, it's not much different from that. In fact, the bee sting is probably worse than the needle. All right. Thank you.
Shirdi Sai त्वरिक माये प्रशांति वासे साई राम शिरडी साई त्वरिक माये प्रशांति वासे साई राम साई राम साई राम एक नाम सुंदर नाम साई राम एक नाम सुंदर नाम शिरडी साई त्वरिक माये प्रशांति वासे साई राम अल्लाहेश्वर साई राम अल्लाहेश्वर साई राम परिधिपुरी के हे भगवान परिधिपुरी के हे भगवान दया करो कृपा करो रक्षा करो हे भगवान दया करो कृपा करो रक्षा करो हे भगवान साई राम एक नाम सुंदर नाम साई राम एक नाम सुंदर नाम शिरडी साई त्वरिक माये प्रशांति वासे साई राम अल्लाहेश्वर साई राम परिधिपुरी के हे भगवान दया करो कृपा करो रक्षा करो 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 हे भगवान नमो महादेव शम्भो नमो सदाशिवो जय परमेश्वर जय भुवनेश्वर जय शिव शंकर नमो महादेव शम्भो नमो सदाशिवो जय परमेश्वर जय भुवनेश्वर जय शिव शंकर नमो महादेव शम्भो नमो सदाशिवो परमेश्वर जय भुवनेश्वर जय शिव शंकर शिव शंकर सुख हरे जय शिव शंकर दुख हरे जय शिव शंकर नमो महादेव शंभो नमो सदा शिवो परमेश्वर जय भुवनेश्वर जय शिव शंकर जय शिव
I just wanted to offer an apology for our viewers who might be looking from home. There will be two videos. Unfortunately, our data system shut down for a little while there, and we lost the connection. So it's started back again. So we got all of Shalini's thing. But prior to that, unfortunately, I'm not sure where it stopped. But by the time we picked it up, it was already done. So 2 videos will be on for this week. We'll try to stitch them back together, right?
It's done that.
Thank you.
बंदो चरण कमल रघुनंदन
बंदो चरण कमल रघुनंदन
बंदो चरण कमल रघुनंदन
बंदो चरण कमल रघुनंदन
कमल रघुनंदन कमल रघुनंदन
रघुनंदन कमल
जिनकी कृपा सकल सुख संपत्ति पावत जन भक्तन उड़ चंदन बंधु चरण कमल रघुनंदन अवधपुरी प्रभु नीच विराजत अवधपुरी प्रभु नीच विराजत जनक सुतायुध दुष्ट निकंदन बंधु चरण कमल रघुनंदन दीनता परुजन ममरण भयं दीनता परुजन ममरण भयं दूर करत चिन्ह मेरन बंधु चरण कमल कृपा करे सेवा करे बंधु चरण कमल रघुनंदन बंधु चरण कमल रघुनंदन बंधु चरण कमल रघुनंदन बंधु चरण कमल रघुनंदन
People like you take a holiday today or what?
त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव जिनके हृदय श्री राम बसे और को नाम लियो नहीं हो जिनके हृदय श्री राम बसे और को नाम लियो नहीं हो जिनके हृदय श्री राम
All right, anybody else who wanted to sing and didn't get a chance? If not, I'll take it over here. All right. I guess not. Let's put our hands in prayer.
Jai Jai Rama, Sri Rama. Jai Rama, Sri Rama Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Rama Sri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Sri Rama Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama,
Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Prem to Sri Ramchandra Bhagwan ki Jai, Sharanam Prabhu. Now just a recap quickly of what happened the last time we met. Sri Ram and Lakshman, Sita, as well as Sumanta, the minister, had reached the banks of the Ganges where Sri Ram descended and prostrated before it, paid his obeisance. And Ram rejoiced in common with all the others that they had reached this point, a fount of all bliss and beatitude. The Ganga is the cause of all happiness and the destroyer of every pain. Now, this is a very bold statement here, and I promise, how many of you actually thought about it when I left it off last time? Not a one, right? you come, you listen, and you go straight through, is it? I ask you to think about what this would actually mean, and if you can tell me, actually I'll ask you to tell me, what would Tulsidas mean by saying, Ganga is the cause of all happiness and the destroyer of every pain. Now, all of us, when we think of pain, we think of physical pain, right? Yeah? Your knee pain you, your arm pain you, you cut yourself, you feel pain there. That pain is nothing considered with emotional pain. Do you know that?
Yes.
Because when emotional pain strikes you, all the physical pain disappears. How is that possible? Because the body begins to secrete certain elements and secretions which actually causes that to happen, believe it or not. Benge helps because when you're involved in the world, doing worldly things, Benge does help to keep the pain down or to make you feel that something is happening. Or Voltaren for that matter, whichever one you use. Voltaren used a lot in our home, I tell you that. As we get older, we depend more on the Voltaren. But the emotional pain, the spiritual pain that we may feel is worse. Because why is it worse? Because it gives us that opportunity, well, I shouldn't say opportunity, more of a chance once more to come back in the world of man, to try to work out the karmas that we have been performing. I keep telling you, pain is not a bad thing. Pain reminds you of Bhagavan all the time, because every time you pain, I hear it a lot. Oh Ram, help me.
At least I remember God.
So I know this. I know we call on Bhagavan only when we need, when the pain is there. But we need to think of what this actually means. Ganga is a symbol of purification, right? So if we're pure internally, where the mind, the thoughts, the jiva becomes pure, then all the pains disappear. And this is the kind of statement that Tulsidas is making here. We all think of it on the physical plane only, but it's on the spiritual plane that this thing operates. And we need to remember that. Bhagavan, in his own wisdom, has put all these names in play, each one symbolizing something else. And of course, we as humans need to think of the meaning behind the meaning. And this is what my job is, right? It's my job. But I need you guys to think about it too. Alright? It's good. It's good when you think about it and realize. That's when realization begins to come. Unless you use the brain and you think a lot and use it regularly, you're going to lose it. You know that, first of all. Use it or lose it. But the most important thing is once you start using it, you begin to realize. And that realization is what we are all looking for. What are we trying to realize?
Yourself.
The self, yeah, exactly. That myself and Brahman are the same. But we keep thinking, oh, this is me. Oh, sorry. This is me. But this is a me, I'm looking for the me in me. Alright? That's the source of all energy, the source of all happiness. The source, it knows our innermost thoughts. And there's nothing that we think, we say, or we do that escapes that self. And we want to stop the self from going and coming, the avagaman as it is called, by becoming self-realized. And the Ganges is a symbol that helps us to attain that purity. And that's why Tulsidas has made this statement. Because when that purity comes within, all happiness is there. All pain disappears. We'll continue from where we left off. Tulsidas writes, Sri Ramcharitmanas Chaupai. कही कही कौशिक कथा प्रसंगा राम विलो कही रंगत रंगा सती वही अनुजहि प्रिय ही सुनाई विवेदन महि माधिकाई सती वही अनुजहि प्रिय ही सुनाई विवेदन महि माधिकाई माधिकाई जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम जय राम श्री राम. Many were the legends that Sri Ram kept repeating as he gazed on the waves of the Ganges and told the minister, his brother Lakshman and the Sita, the transcendent glory of this celestial stream. Now, what is this glory that he's talking about? That's self-explanatory actually when you think about it, because our people keep going to the Ganges thinking that by immersing themselves in the spiritual pains and the spiritual purification will take place. Now, it helps us to think that it is. That's no doubt about that, okay? But unless we look on the spiritual side of what the Ganges is symbolic of and the purificatory rites that we perform, which are symbolic only, they're meant to happen inside. And unfortunately, I've talked to many people who say, oh, I went to the Ganges and I put myself in the water. Well, turn the shower on, you put yourself in the same water, okay? It's what the Ganges symbolizes that is important, not what the Ganges is. It's a river like any other river. All the waters are joined together somehow or the other. There's none that is not joined together. You all know this, right? So the Ganges flows into the Indian Ocean. That same ocean flows around into the Atlantic. That same one flows into the Pacific. So where is it not that the Ganges is not present? Every drop of water contains it. And if we can remember that, it is the purificatory rites that Sri Ram kept telling them. Not so much as the Ganges itself, that you go inside. Symbolically, you go in and you bathe, you say, okay, I've had this bath in the Ganges. I'm pure, but make it pure, not to allow it to go back to where we were on an everyday basis. If you do the same thing every day, the results will always be the same. Unless we ourselves consciously make an effort to change, nothing changes. And we need to remember that. We come, we listen all the time, we hear it, and after we leave and we go home, and like I asked you last week, think about what Sri Ram said. Nobody remembers to even think about it. I mean, it's nice being in the company, don't get me wrong. Humans need to be in the company of other human beings. Not only do they learn how to behave, they learn how to show compassion. They learn how to make emotional ties. All these things are necessary for all of us. But what we need to remember, we come to temple regularly, yes. We come for the spiritual bath that will help us to purify ourselves. Not a physical bath, that you can do anytime at your home. The spiritual bath is important. And if we can do that, then we have a far way to go spiritually. We're getting that much closer to that self-realization. Continuing. Chaupai again. And after hearing these wonderful legends that are spoken, inspired, everyone went into the Ganges and had a bath. Why? Because they want to symbolize that spiritual awakening that is happening there, which caused all the fatigue of the journey to be removed. And it's true in one sense physically, no matter how sweaty and tired you seem to feel, the moment you have a shower or a bath, you revive yourself, not only physically, but spiritually as well. Their jivas were gladdened when they drank of the holy water. So drinking the water of the Ganges is symbolic of the internal cleansing that we done. And this now, I will not tell you to drink it now. Not unless you have it in Rishikesh or somewhere upriver where it begins. That's where the pure water is, okay? Not by the mouth of the Indian Ocean. It's not there, okay? So if you go there and you by all means take a dip when you go to the hotel wash again.
It's cold.
It's cold now, is it?
Very cold.
Well, I understand they have a monsoon right now, so everything should warm up a little bit. So the monsoon is a bit late this year, isn't it?
North is very cold this time of year.
Yeah.
Very cold.
Well, it's a similar weather to here. Once you get to the Kashmir area, it's all wintry weather like it is here. In fact, I think they're further north than we are. And look at our weather today, look, it's still going. So they drank of the holy water. This is upriver, right? So let me be clear about this. But in those days, they didn't have the kind of industrial pollution that we have now. Okay, let me be honest with you. So over time, things have changed. India became a very industrial country, and they started doing the same thing we were doing in North America, polluting the rivers and the ocean and the lakes. And that's why you can't catch anything from the Lake Ontario up to this day and eat it. If you do, you do it at your own peril. So to ascribe fatigue to him, by whose very remembrance the burdens of all weariness is lightened. So we're talking here, Tulsidas is making mention of the fact that whenever you're fatigued, and here he's saying Rama is removing the fatigue. Rama does not feel fatigued by. If Bhagavan Sri Krishna has said in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he can't sleep for a single moment. If Bhagavan sleeps, guess what happens? Everything stops. So Bhagavan doesn't sleep. He's awake at all times, answering the prayers of every devotee that looks for him, being with you all the time and in you all the time. There's nowhere where Bhagavan is not. So once we can understand that, he knows what our thoughts is, like I said, and he knows what's going on in your life and my life. You don't need to ask for your daily bread. He knows when you need it. Glorify Bhagavan, and everything falls in place. So by saying that, to ascribe fatigue to Sri Ram, by whose very remembrance the burden of all weariness is lightened, is to emphasize his voluntary assumption of a human rule, that as a human being, he was following the ways of the world. And that is what the avatar is all about, my friends. Avatar doesn't mean Bhagavan comes to perform miracle. He comes like you and I, in a simple form of a human being, but his actions are so wonderful that we make bhajans and sing them up to this day. Why? Because we want to purify ourselves with them. And Krishna and Rama, of course, are two of the most popular. In fact, Rama is more popular than Sri Krishna, even though Krishna has given us the portable Gita, the manual of life. But Rama has lived it to show all human beings in every walk of life, whether you're the king or the pauper, and all between there too. Sri Ram has lived it. He was a king, he was a forest dweller. The next couple, if we get that far, we'll explain this a little bit more, I think. But until we get there, I don't want to jump the gun. So Rama, by thinking of whom our fatigue becomes lightened, has taken on this human form, delved into the Ganges, which originated from him, by the way, to wash himself, so that all men may know that this is the way to remove the fatigue. And all of us do. Like I said, whenever you're feeling tired and sweaty, what do? You take a shower. And what happens? You revive immediately. So that helps, by the way. So we'll go to this Doha now. I'm not sure we'll close this one. It's still got 5-10 minutes more to go.
Oh,
Sri Ram, the banner of the solar race, who is the untainted source of being, Sachidanand, being consciousness, truth, consciousness, and bliss, performs actions similar to those of a human being, and which constitute a bridge across the ocean of birth and death. Now, what does this statement actually mean? So we want to look at it a little bit more in detail here. So Sri Ram, who is this manifestation of Satchitanand, has taken the form of the human being and is living like a human being to demonstrate to humanity, because it is by his actions that all of us aim for as being perfect, isn't it? Sri Ram, the perfect man, Maryada Purushottam. We all strive to reach his kind of perfection. We fail, yes, I know. Nothing wrong failing. Failing is a good thing, actually. It teaches us many lessons. Think of it, they didn't fail. I keep repeating this one all the time. You know, Ford came up with a T50 in the early 1900s, the car that first was mass produced. Why do you think he called it T50? Why not T49 or T1? Because he failed 50 times already. Now, when we fail, what do? We give up? No, you gotta keep trying again. This is the whole idea. So if we don't try, and we are given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, oh man, we get this chance. And like I say before, I was talking about the pain, and I forgot to mention, you know, pain is the price of rent, or tax if you want, that the jiva has to pay, because the jiva feels. You think the body feels? If I prick you with a pin, what feels? The body? So in that case, when you die, we should put the body in a fire, you should jump up. Would you say that?
Yeah.
So it's not the body that feels the pain, but through the pain, the body, the Jivatman feels the pain. The feelings come from within, not without. So you say a body paying you, is a Jiva paying, and this is a pain the Jiva has to pay for renting your body. It's paying it to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is a collector, believe me. Nothing goes unpaid. You ever thought of that?
100% accountancy.
Exactly, 100%. There's nothing less, no loss anywhere. You ever thought of it that way? Chitta Jala Pavaka Gagana Samira, the 5 elements: earth, water, heat, air, and space, or ether. These 5 make up every single thing that you can think of. In different quantities, of course. In the fish, the water is predominant because the fish is able to wiggle. Plus it needs the air a lot so it can float when it wants to. The bird is mostly air. That's why it's able to fly. We have a mixture of water and earth. So we are able to move, yes, but we're heavy as well. I think that heaviness is a problem for all of us. but that's how it is. So Sri Ram is reminding us of the path that we need to take so that we can become liberated. And if we fail, don't be annoyed. Don't be despondent. We have opportunity to try again. Krishna has said in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, never was a time when I was not, or all of us were not. Never will be a time when we will not be either. Just that we can't remember them. Why we can't remember them? The memory is there in a different form, but it needs a brain to express that memory. So when we pass on, Jiva comes back within another human being. He has a new brain, or she has a new brain, and is able to intuitively do things. You know, it's not a lot of things you're doing. How do you know when you made a mistake? Not from the learning that we've had. If you tell somebody a hard word, how do you know right away, okay, I messed up? You know it then right away. And it's always been that way. So we have this intuition within us already. It's called vasanas. That's why some of us like one thing but dislike another thing. Why? You got the same taste buds, you got everything is the same. Physically, nobody is different. But internally, spiritually, Jivan-wise, we're all different. No two are alike. Atman is the same. That's the causal body. But the subtle body of mind, intellect, chitta, and ahankar, these four in each one of us combined is totally different. Those four combined, totally different. Each one of us has one of those. So when we take stuff with us from one life to the next, and word Atman and Jiva Atman for that matter, means constantly on the move. What is constantly on the move? Moving from body to body to body to body. It never stops until self-realization occurs. Then all karmas, the effects of all karmas become neutralized. It's like you're in a flood and you're still looking for water to drink, right? You can't drink the water in the flood. So keeping that in mind, I don't think we can go on anymore today. We're there already. So I think I talked too much, don't I?
No.
Alright, okay. At least if I'm working to enlighten somebody, I think I'm doing a good job. So we'll continue the next time with the next Chaupai, and then you begin to realize why Sri Ram is, we started this quest, of course, with this. The ego, we started since the time of Dashera, right? Vijayadashmi. We've only reached this so far. So we're starting at the first episode. Sri Ram had to go into the forest so that he can bring Ravan to an end. Ravan symbolizing the ego. Alright, Sri Ram is you and I here when you think about it. We want to destroy the ego. So we got to go through certain things. So we're putting ourselves in the place of Sri Ram, but we're using his example to help to get to where he is. Is that okay? Clear?
Yep. Yes.
Good. I'm glad you think so. I had no idea what I said there. Not true. I gotta joke a little bit, if I don't joke, how things gonna work. And people remember all the jokes. They don't remember the message, they remember the jokes. But if the joke has a message in it, that's great. Okay, so we'll close there for today, and we'll pick this up the next time. Prem Swasyapati Ramachandra Ki Jai, Sharanam Prabhu. Now we do have a few announcements we'd like to make, and I'd like to repeat, of course, the first one, which I already said several times already, but I want to remind you. As soon as your turn comes, make sure you take your vaccine. Do not delay. Book your spot, take it so we can all be healthy. I was thinking that by the time the end of this month, we'll be looking for the vaccine passport. Now you gotta get another one. And so keep that in mind. As soon I have my vaccine passport already, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think all of you need to get it. If you have 2 doses, download it on your phone. If you have 3, less than half an hour after the 3rd one, I got a notification that it was there. So it's immediate almost. As soon as I put it in the computer, I got an email saying I have it. So I got the 3rd one as well.
Or the drugstore is giving.
Yeah, and you can these you can get at the drugstore. So talk to your drugstore manager or pharmacist and arrange an appointment. All right.
It's easy, very easy.
But you gotta be 70 and over.
That's what they're saying. That's going to change very, very soon. Within the next week, within the next few weeks, that will change. So please help us to help each other. I have a, and of course we continue next week again with same time, same place. Hopefully weather is good. And I want to remind you, of course, if the weather is really, really bad, think twice before you leave home, okay? I know we try to open our temple at all times, every Sunday at this time, but if the weather is impossible and they're telling you to stay home, then listen, stay home.
You can do it from home.
We can do it from home too, but it's hard to get one video together. So, and then the musicians are not there. Eventually there are some system like Zoom will develop in such a way that the bandwidth will be wide enough. And we'll be able to include everybody on the same spot. Because now if you knock the drum here, and the other person is singing there, the drum and the singing is 2 different beats. I don't know if you noticed that. So it's not really, the technology is not fully there yet, but it will be eventually. And look, man is ingenious. Don't think they don't realize that already. They're just working on it a little bit more. So it's going to happen eventually. So we got 2 donations here for today. And like I said, those donations are very important. Last week I mentioned that our building insurance has gone from 1,000 which we started with when we first started into the 5,000 sphere now. So this is quite a bit. And we appreciate the donations to help keep the bills paid so they can function. So we got 3 donations now. So the first one is from Mark Simbudas. Thanks. Mark Simbudas and Vedpati Ramdas. So this is Mark and his sister. It's $300. We really appreciate that. Mark, if you're listening, thank you. Harold James, who is Mark's Sarabai actually, $100 US. And Indra Danpat. Is this my sister-in-law?
Yeah.
My sister.
Oh, you? Okay.
My sister.
$100. And I do not mention, I only say the amount as well, so that way it stays where it is, alright? Thank you all for the donations, we appreciate it. I think that's about it. I
Can
don't
we
have
have
any-
prayer for?
Oh yes, for Birju Rampal, right? I'd like to ask all of you to put your hands together as we join in offering a prayer for the peace of the Jivatman of the late Sriman Birju Rampal. He used to come here. He was a member.
For many
He
years.
lost one of his foot last year sometime, early last year. And since then he's never been the same. He came 1 or 2 times after the amputation, but too much trouble for him, I think, so he stopped coming. But our condolences to his family, to all those who mourn his loss, all his friends, his relatives, and everyone else. Om Anadinidhano Deva Shankachakra Gadadharam Akshaya Pundarikaksham Preta Moksha Prado Bhava Preta Moksha Prado Bhava Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Ram Nam Satya Hai Yehi Sabki Gat Hai. Alright, so we'll meet again next week, same time. And we'll try to keep the numbers down here as well. So please keep in touch with me and let me know if you're not coming or you're
But
coming.
not
or
on
whatever.
Sunday morning when you're ready to leave.
I had to call Sunday morning actually this morning at what time? About just after 8. I'm not gonna say who it is, but just to tell me they can't make it because they took their vaccine yesterday and they are misbehaving. So it happens. And a cold too, yes. She said, oops, I shouldn't have said that. You got a cold as well. So you know what, it happens. Before they get sick and when they come here and spread it to everybody else, might as well stay home. It's good. Thank you all for being here. Let's start the RT and
Vishwa Bhavai Nagar Sarogyam
सर्वलोके गणार्थम् ॐ पापहं पापकर्माहं पापात्मा पापसम्भवा त्राहिमां पुण्डरीकाक्षं सर्वपापो मोहरे ॐ मन्त्रहीनं क्रियाहीनं भक्तिहीनं जनार्दनं यजपूजनं मया देव परिपूर्णं तस्मै ॐ बालबालमनमङ्गलं हर्षदेव सीरं परसरोजनपावमयि भक्ति सदा सर्वसङ्गस्य भज रामचन्द्र की जय शरणं प्रभु ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः ॐ यौ शान्ति अंतरिक्षं शान्ति पृथिवी शान्ति आकाश शान्ति ऋषिदेव शान्ति वनस्पति शान्ति विश्वदेव शान्ति ब्रह्मा शान्ति सर्वं शान्ति 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 हरि ओम। बोलो श्री कृष्ण भगवान की जय।